Hello everybody, this is Kyrix with another episode of This Week in Kyrix. This is for the week of Wednesday, December 16th, 2020, and I'm recording it Friday, December 18th, 2020. I originally started to record this post-commentary, mind you, Wednesday, but something came up, I had to pause it, I was like a quarter of the way in, and once you pause it, you just either delete the audio or you have the audio, so I basically had to start over again. Things happened. I didn't really find the time that day. Yesterday I was working till close, which means 11 o'clock. And then I had to get up today at frickin' 7, so an hour of this wasn't going to happen. Or 52 minutes and 4 seconds wasn't going to happen, so. But here we are, doing post-commentary. And I've already done this once before. I didn't really miss anything. I just went through some stuff. I am extremely partial to this system for This Week in Kyrix, and a couple other things like Star Trek Online comes to mind. There are some other games that would really benefit from this format, but for the most part my games will be live commentary, especially, obviously, blind runs. Now what I could do, and it involves getting people together and, you know, doing so. I could do, like, group commentary with other people on certain games. Like, I don't think Tales of Symphonia exists on this. But I could, if, just an example, if it was on PS4, I could record Tales of Symphonia and just do all the stuff that I do, and then have some other people join me as part of a blind run. The problem is, in order to do Tales of Symphonia 2, you know, as a blind run, I'd have to do my own and then have the group with Symphonia 2. Which is something I would be willing to do, but it's just not feasible at the moment. But that's just an example of a game. Like, I could do, just as an example, with Robert when I was doing Hitman 2, which we might resume at some point soon. We were doing a thing where he'd do 3 runs and then I'd do a run. Well, instead now, I'll do my runs in advance, he'll do his runs, and then we'll commentate mine on Share Factory. And then while it's buffering or whatever, he can go smoke a cigarette. So. But, this week in Kyrix, there are 2 episodes left? Beyond this one, and then this year in Kyrix, which I will be recording in advance. I'm going to have to delete some stuff off the hard drive first, because I've downloaded a couple more games, specifically Dead by Daylight, and they take up space, and I only have so much left. As much as it pains me, I'm probably going to delete this game once those last few episodes are recorded, because I've got so many other games to play right now. So this one isn't going to need to be on the hard drive. And since I own it, like legit, I bought it with money, not PlayStation Plus own it. I fucking own this thing. So I can get it back whenever I want. It's mine. I own it. You know, it's not even like, oh, you lapsed in your subscription. Don't care. Bought it with real money. You know, it's mine. So that's not a big deal. That's just something I'll get around to later. I bought Deep Blue Sea 3, actually, yesterday, in fact, as part of my plan to just do a Deep Blue Sea marathon with Robert. Because when COVID kicked off, my roommate launched a rule, basically, nobody has people over, you know, including him. And, of course, that rule lapsed for him, and his cousin never listened to it in the first goddamn place, because he doesn't believe rules apply to him, especially when they're specifically name him. But me, being the good little tenant, have not had anybody over. I've had Robert over to fix the bike and to cut my hair once. But he doesn't really come in the house unless it's to pee. So I basically said, hey, since you have company over for the football games and your cousin has company over all the time, can I just take over the living room one day so me and Robert can watch a bunch of shark movies? He's like, okay, cool. So I'm going to have him over sometime in January, because we do not have a day off that matches up until January. We're just going to meet up, get over here, get some popcorn, just kick everybody out of the house and watch Deep Blue Sea 1, 2, and 3. We both seen the first one. Neither of us knew the second one existed until I bought it. And then I'm just walking through the store one day, and there's Deep Blue Sea 3 staring at me like, hey, Robert, we got another one. But yeah, I bought it for like $9-10, something like that. Really cheap. I bought the $9 one. I bought the dirt cheap one because the $12 Blu-ray digital code thing didn't have extra stuff on it. And I don't need a fucking Blu-ray of this movie. Much less a digital download. Today sucked balls. I had to go to work today, because that's what I do. And it was freaking 40-something. It was like 45 degrees. And once you get below 50, you start hitting temperatures that cut through my clothing. So I may as well have been in shorts and a t-shirt for all the good it did me. I literally spent the first hour and a half of my actual on-the-clock shift hiding from the cold. Which fortunately I had closed the night before. I'd filled up the dock on both sides. And most of the carts were at least arranged, if not in. So, and of course, for the first hour, you don't really do anything till like 8:30, 9 o'clock anyway. Unless it's a stupid busy day, and it wasn't until later. Actually, no, it never really got stupid busy. It got stupid busy yesterday. Yesterday, it didn't stop being busy until 9 p.m. It was fucking ridiculous. But last night, while I was on my own, well, no, we had the other guy, but I was basically out there doing my thing. And some guy had pulled up on a motorcycle. He had it up by the bike rack, which happens on occasion. So I'm pulling these carts in, and I'm watching the motorcycle while I'm steering the mule so I don't hit it. Because I've already hit 2 cars, and I want to hit another one, because that is literally my ass. Especially a motorcycle. That'll fall right over and shatter into a million pieces. You know? So, I'm watching this thing, which means I'm walking backwards. Well, I don't know if you've ever been to a Walmart. The dock has an overhang. It has like a small door that's at like chest height for most humans. And I seem to have forgotten this fact and clonked myself really good. Like, I hit my knees for like 3 seconds. No serious injury, mind you. I was coherent. I was coherent enough to worry about it. I looked it up. I'm like, yeah, all the symptoms I'm having show minor injury. I'm not in any danger. Get on with my day. But it still hurt. It still hurts if I touch it. Although the lump is gone, which is nice. Is this still drinkable? Yeah, barely. It's the problem with soda. It's got a shelf life. I mean, soda's milk, but not in the same way. I could shake that milk up. Worst I'm going to get is butter. You know? So, yeah, this is post-commentary. I recorded this like 2-3 weeks ago. It's a while ago. I do need to start transferring these to the computer and doing shit with them. Matter of fact, I should do that now. There's the thing. I'm going to transfer these to the computer right fucking now. Because why not? Anyway, I did a dumb the other day on a Pokemon tournament. I was trying to... I thought I was clever. I was going to transfer over a bunch of my old shinies and play them together. And when you transfer stuff, now you can put them in official tournaments, but the problem is you have to make them ready first. And to ready them, you basically have to erase all their old moves and teach them new ones. Which is fine, but there's a caveat. There's always a caveat. What was that caveat, you might ask? Well, that caveat is it literally erased their moves and taught them new ones. You could teach them back, and I did, but I didn't realize it until I'd locked in the team. So I basically struggled with the 3 matches I had, because you need 3 to get the entry prize of 50 battle points, which I now have. But I struggled with these 3 frickin' matches, and lost them all even though I shouldn't have. I should have won them. But, whatever. And then I pulled them out, taught them their new moves. Everything's crunchy again. It's wonderful. There was much rejoicing. Don't tell me it's not recognized. Don't tell me it's fucking malfunctioned. This has all those This Week in Kyrix episodes on it. And I'm pretty sure I've already erased them. Anyway, I do now have Zarude. Because that was a thing, like, oh, they're going to be giving away the English code if you signed up for the fucking newsletter, and I did that, like, 2 or 3 years ago for one of the Pokemon. I don't even remember which one, but it was one of the legendary giveaways when they were doing that. I think it was Regigigas, actually. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure it was Regigigas, which is fortunate, because I didn't need Regigigas, because I already had, like, 2 or 3 of him. And I say it was fortunate because I didn't fucking get him, because the newsletter is a really stupid distribution system. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't fucking work. But this time it worked. I've got Zarude. He's legal. I will be doing stuff with him in the future, I'm sure. Right now, he's just content to live in my box forever. Forgotten and alone. Something cool happened, and this honestly might be a recording soon. It depends on when I get off my ass and do this stuff. You know, I was looking. They brought out this saga system or whatever, the Final Fantasy Legend games from the Saga franchise. Which, for those who don't know, the Saga franchise is apparently a big deal in Japan. But the first few games released here as Final Fantasy Legend, even though they're wholly unrelated to the Final Fantasy series. You know, it's like it's like if they released the Legacy of Kain games under the title Castlevania, just because they have vampires, you know. But anyway, the Final Fantasy Legend games, I remember playing a couple of them on Game Boy back in the day, having some fun with them. I've always wanted to get back into them, and they're like $20 right now for the 3 of them in all their old Game Boy glory. And I almost bought them, and I still might. It depends. I've got a couple issues to work on right now. Like, I've got Ubers I got to pay for. Potentially, I got to chip in on a bike if my aunt could find one. And so on. Yeah, my bearings are fucked. I went to work yesterday. I pulled out of the house. You know, I'm going down the street. Get to the main street. And at some point, I have to cross it one direction or the other. Well, I have to cross both directions at some point. But I usually do that down the line. There were people in the way, so rather than skirt around them and go down the ramp, I just went straight down the curb, you know, cha-chunk, cha-chunk. When that happened, my bearings just said, fuck it. So that bike's dead. I can probably get it fixed at some point. It might even be under warranty for all I know. I will have to check on that very soon. But right now it's fucked, and I have no bike. So I have 5 days, 4 now, but 5 fucking days before my next paycheck, where I have to go in at 7 a.m. The buses do not run that early. Not that I'm aware of. I'll check later, I'm sure. So basically, I'm looking at about $15 an Uber. I originally said 20 because it is my custom to tip $5 for an Uber. Because, you know, these people are fucking running up their gas. They're coming and driving me all over the place. The lady who picked me up, because there weren't a lot of Uber drivers on, was 17 minutes away from my location. And that's the thing. I may bitch, but I try not to bitch at the drivers, or get mad at the drivers, more at the system. When that happens, I'm annoyed, but not at the drivers. It's not their fault. I actually got a call the other day. I think it was yesterday, actually, from one of the credit card collectors. I think this one was for Fingerhut. I owe on Fingerhut, PayPal, and Amazon. No, I'm paying Amazon. Fingerhut, PayPal, and something else. And they called, and they try to get a debt collection, and you tell them I don't have money, and they have to keep on the call, you know. And it annoys the fuck out of me, because what should happen is they should call, and I say, like, hi, we're here to collect on a debt. I have no money. All my money is tied up in bills. Well, could you just... No, I could not. I could not give you $1 if I wanted to, you know. And I literally told him, I'm like, dude, I will not have money till 2021 at the earliest, or 2022 at the earliest, because my money is tied up in what I owe Amazon right now, you know. I'm paying off that. And he kept on the line, and I started to get testy, and I had to stop myself. I'm like, Kyrix, this is not this guy's fault. He did not ask to fucking deal with me. It is company policy telling him to bug the shit out of you. Don't yell at him. And I calmed down, I told him, hey, thank you, etc. And eventually he got the picture when I kept saying, have a nice day, goodbye. That's the thing. I do not snap at bill collectors. I don't. Or at least I try not to. It has happened. It has fucking happened. Where I have just gone off on a bill collector because after, I think it's only happened once, but they basically spent 5 minutes, and for some reason I'm too nice to just hang up on their ass. But they spent 5 minutes like, dude, give us some. I'm like, dude, I could not give you money. I do not have it. I have a fucking dollar to my name and I need it for food, That kind of shit. I'm like, there is a point when you take no for an answer. There just is. Even when you're a bill collector. And, yeah. But anyway, but I like to fucking tip $5. And it hurts me, but I'm going to have to dip down. Like, today, or yesterday, I tipped $3. Today, I'm going to, because she got me home, I'm probably going to tip $3. But after that, I'm basically going to have to tip $1. And it fucking kills me to do that. I feel like such an asshole. Even though I'm not required to tip at all. I still feel like an asshole because, I'm a generous person. If I had the ability to do something, I would always tip $5 unless my driver was a fucking goblin, Because there are different drivers. There are drivers that won't talk, and there are drivers that won't shut up. And usually, I get them at appropriate times. I'll get the driver that wants to talk when I want to talk. And we'll talk the whole way there. On the other hand, and this is the guy who got me yesterday morning. I say morning, it was like 1:30 in the afternoon. But he didn't say a word unless I prompted him, and that's fine. I was perfectly content to ride in silence, And for the most part, I didn't talk much to the driver who brought me home today after the fucking bus zoomed by me. Yeah, I'm a little pissed that I had to pay money at all for that. Because the bus should have stopped and picked me up like it's supposed to. It's a fucking bus. But, yeah. Starting tomorrow, I'm just going to have to tip less. And I hate it. I fucking hate it. I feel like such a sleazebag for doing that, but what can you do? But anyway, I got off track. See, I still do it. Even in post-production, I still do it, but at least I'm not getting lost in the fucking gameplay while I'm doing it. Where I keep bouncing back and forth between 5 different topics and the game. I'm barely even watching the game, to be honest. So, I get online. I'm in the little the Switch store, the Nintendo Switch store, and it's like, hey, here's a Final Fantasy Legend. I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna wait just for a little while. I'm gonna wait because this isn't a sale price, and it's not a this goes on sale and then it's gone forever kind of game. It's gonna be their paycheck, next paycheck. It's gonna be their next year's paycheck too. The fucking Christmas one where I've got all the goddamn overtime. It's gonna be there for that paycheck. And so I waited, and I look, and in the store it shows the Super Nintendo app, I'm going to call it. I guess it's a game, but it's basically an app that connects you to other games that they've released. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's on there because they've released new stuff, and sure enough, they did. 3 of them were games I don't think I've ever heard of, and one was Donkey Kong Country 3, which I was not a big fan of. Like Dixie's Double Trouble or something. Never got into it. I could barely play the damn game because I couldn't figure out what to do. I once watched Pico play it all the way through. It was okay. I still think 2 was the best, although 1 had some definite charm to it. But, so I'm like, oh, well, they updated Super Nintendo, they must have updated Nintendo. Now remember, SNES had 4 games. I get into Nintendo, it's like, sure enough, here's an update. Bloop, there's only 1 title. I'm thinking, oh man, this could be one of 1,000 fucking Japanese titles that we're just now getting, or maybe it's some Nintendo game that I've never heard of or never wanted to play, or I have played it but it's garbage. This is one of my games. Because it doesn't show it to you. It shows you a box with new written on it, and you select it, and it flips over and shows you what the real game is. Nightshade. Now, Nightshade is this... It's really kind of hard to describe. It's kind of a superhero... what's it called? Adventure game? Where, you select the dialogue, things like push the block, pull this, use this, that kind of thing. It's one of those, but with a superhero that's kind of a Batman superhero. And you start the game in a death trap. And every time you die, you get put in another death trap, and there's always a way to escape the first, 3 of them. And the last one's inescapable, and that's your game over. But I saw it years ago in one of my Nintendo Power magazines, and I looked at it and was like, it's okay, it just kind of exists. Never really paid it any mind. I mean, I looked through it, because at some point in a Nintendo Power magazine, you'll look at everything just because you're on the toilet and there's nothing to read, Like, I've read this thing about Mario 3 8 times, I may as well read about Nightshade. And one day, I went to a flea market, and, of course, at flea markets back in the day, probably now too, they sold NES cartridges, and one of them was Nightshade. And I popped this motherfucker into the Nintendo, and I was absolutely hooked. It's a really good game. It's a shame that it never had the popularity for a sequel. One moment. It's a shame it never had the popularity to pull out a sequel, because I think it was planned to be part of a trilogy, because you know how those things are. They plan it out like, oh, this is going to be the first of 5 games, and then they don't make the sales numbers to get the other games made. And that is, I believe, what happened with Nightshade. There was other games planned, other games never happened, Don't mind me feeding the cats and the dog real quick, because I happen to glance over and see Maya eating, and I'm thinking, well, you're finally finished your food, and then I remember that was left over from yesterday, which was in turn left over from the day before, because sometimes she doesn't eat all her kibble. She's got this kind of kibble called, it's not Caesar. Caesar's a different one. I forget what it's called, but it's got little meat chunks in it, like freeze-dried meat chunks. And she loves the meat chunks, but she hates the kibble. So there's kibble all over my floor. I've got to vacuum at some point. But near her dish, there's just this pile of fucking abused kibble that she's never eaten and never plans to eat. And if her bowl's too full of kibble, I just won't feed her that day until she eats it. And I just happen to notice, hey, she hadn't eaten her kibble. But anyway, Nightshade. I played it. It's a lot of fun. I definitely plan to play it. I'm currently charging one of my NES controllers for the Switch. I'm probably taking it with me to work tomorrow. And I would love to do it as a nostalgia trip. Just, before I even think about that, I have to finish the Blaster Master Blast to the Past. And then there's all the shit I've got to do on the Switch. The Switch recording, I just do not do, partly because, XSplit is so dodgy in quality, you know what I mean? It's not the quality it should be, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to hook up and do all the things, as opposed to this, where I just record, or in some cases pre-record, and then dub. So, once I finish Blast from the Past Blaster Master, and finish the Pokemon Crown, because I barely touched that. Ooh. Then I'll probably get around to doing Nightshade. I have really been slacking on my upload schedule, and I feel absolutely shitty about it. And I should. I really should, because I'm really shitty about it. But I'm going to try and make some progress on that. I'm going to try and get This Week in Kyrix up to date by, next week. Get everything up and running. At the very least, by the time this year in Kyrix rolls out, I'm going to have it up Maybe not by New Year's, but you know what I mean. Because I generally record it like at New Year's, but by January 2nd, I'd love to have it up on YouTube. And I have actually, even though I've been skimping on the uploads, I have not been skimping as much on recordings. I've been recording a lot of things. I have Until Dawn. I've just finished Rise of the Tomb Raiders conversions. I have, at any point I could start uploading Resident Evil 7. Because at this point, it's not likely to happen soon that I'll have my VR to do my big dream VR thing. So I just want to get Resident Evil 7 out of the way and just out of my life and off my hard drive. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't remember if Resident Evil 2 and 3 have gone up yet. I think 3 has. I think 2 has as well, but I want to look on my website, my fucking channel site, and see like, hey, these things are up and these things are not, etc., etc., and just make of them what they are. You know, if they're due to go up, put them up, and if they're not, then get them online so they can go up. I wanna start, and I know I started off 2020 strong, but let's face it, we all started 2020 strong, and look where we ended up. Fat and home. That's basically it. But yeah, I want to get my uploads rolling the way they should. I've got so many new games to play. Some of them on the Switch as well. Rio! I've got a new format for This Week in Kyrix. I forgot to get into that this time, because I mentioned it last time. I have selected my new This Week in Kyrix video game, that is. I went through some soul searching on it. This was considered for another round, but I'm like, no, I've done enough on this without making an actual Let's Play. Subnautica was thought up and dismissed because I'm not going to top the timing I had last year where I finished it on New Year's, you know. Minecraft was floated as an idea. 7 Days to Die was floated as an idea, both of which would have been good, but I opted not to. The Sims was considered. And a new game I purchased, The Forest, was considered, but I realized that I don't know enough about The Forest to really do anything yet. So I opted instead to go back to Mount and Blade Warband. And it turns out it works a lot better when I pre-record it, because when I used to try and do it as a This Week in Kyrix game, I was under the pressure, the needless pressure, but the pressure nonetheless, to make it entertaining, even though it's not supposed to be for these. So I would do things faster than I'm supposed to. Like, it's like, okay, I should spend the next 4 weeks just grinding levels. I'm like, no, I'm going to build an army, I'm going to hit the Nords, and that never worked, because I wasn't fucking ready. And I do things a little differently here, like, I almost did a rage quit when I lost a battle. I'm like, oh, I lost a battle, they took away all my stuff, and I'm like, wait a second. Let's see where they let me go. And they let me go right next to them, and I fucking rushed them again. And I just kept, every time I lose a battle in this, I just keep blitzing them again until I win, get all my shit back, and take them prisoner. You know? It works. I've renamed all the different types of troops I have. Like, I now have fodder. I now have light infantry, heavy infantry, archers, crossbowmen, mounted archers, light cavalry, heavy cavalry, and capturers. You know, basically. I might change capturers to something else later on. Like, I might just get spearmen or lancers or something. I don't know. It remains to be seen. But it basically lets me have a more firm control of my army. And I'm going to be doing like what I'm doing right here, where I play the game in advance, record it weeks in advance, preferably a month in advance. Like, by the time January hits, and keep in mind, January is only 2 weeks away, but by the time January hits, I want to have This Week in Kyrix recorded for all of January, and it's just, okay, here's the game, add commentary, here's the game, add commentary, you know. And that's the plan that I want to roll with, because that makes it easier. Because a lot of times what fucks me here is I'll start the game, and then I'll just be so out of it. And that's the other advantage of pre-recording these, is that when I pre-record them, at any point I can fucking stop, you know? Because I'm not providing commentary. Like, if I have to pause and go to the store or something, I just stop the recording, count out what time it is, and then just resume. Or if it's, if at any point I'm feeling sick, or sleepy, or too hungry to think, etc., I don't have to subject myself to an hour of gameplay. I just stop. And then I wait until the time comes to actually do the voiceover. I just wait until I'm in good condition, when I'm in a good mood like I am right now. I'm fairly rested, I'm not hungry. I ate a bunch of fucking potato wedges earlier today. I'm not super thirsty. I didn't have to pee till I started thinking about it, but I can hold it. You know, that kind of stuff. I'm not at the vulnerability of my biological requirements. And I just do this. I did end up overdoing my timer, because I forgot I'm supposed to be at bed at 9? No, surely not. No, 10. Go to work at 7, or clock in at 7, go to work at 6, wake up at 4. No, 9 o'clock. Totally supposed to be in bed at 9. Ah, well, I'll deal with it. I'll fucking live. Last night I didn't get to bed till fucking 12:30, and all it took me was a nap on my first 15-minute break, or no, a nap on my lunch break, the end of my lunch break. So, I'll live. That being said, I do want to know what the rest of my schedule looks like this week. I mean, it sucks balls, I know that. I've got 6 days in a row that I'm off for my birthday, go back to Christmas Eve, off Christmas, off the day after Christmas, and then it just is. I nudged the fucking USB stick. It's fine, it'll live. It's doing its business. Okay. Alright, let me see the fucking thing. Don't tell me not recognized, you bastard! Get back in there. Alright, I'm going to need... There we go. Oh, that's right, I did a cut paste, didn't I? Cool. Cool. It's even better than what I thought I did. I thought I did copy. The cut paste is even better, because that way if it doesn't transfer, it doesn't fucking transfer. Anyway. Yeah, that's right. What time do I work? I know tomorrow I work 7 to 4 again, so I'll have plenty of time to recuperate. 7 to 4. 9 to 6, that's not horrible. I can actually take a bus to and from work that day. 7 to 4, 7 to 4, 7 to 4. Oofa. Yeah, then I'm back on the fucking 7 to 4 train. So yeah, it looks like Sunday is the only day I vary where I'm working 9 to 6. That'll be good. Oh, but it's on a Sunday, so the buses are going to be borked. Shit. I'll manage. I'll manage somehow. Actually, I think Robert's off that day. He might be able to help me. I'll get a hold of him after. Let's fade to black here. What are we looking at? I'm just... Don't mind me, I'm looking at my work shit. I'm looking at, like, how much money I made, potentially. I'm looking at, like, 0.6 to 0.8 hours of overtime. So close to an extra hour of overtime just from staying a couple minutes here and there. That's not bad. But yeah, I'm making, at a bare minimum, $453.99 on this next upcoming paycheck, because I've already taken out like $300 worth. Because not counting today's check, I had earned $688.86. So that's fun. Yeah, I pulled out like $304 basically. $303.94 exactly. Yeah, I have this set up pretty cool where I can, every alternate week that I'm not normally paid, I get half my paycheck. But it counts that from the total. So if I made $800 by the time Thursday rolls around, it'll give me $400 of that. But I can also pull ahead early and like, oh, I'm going to pull out $200 and then it'll give me the other $200 on Thursday. So it's a good system where I get the money I need when I need it in the amounts I need. It's not perfect, but nothing is. But yeah, I'm doing decent financially. I won't say I'm doing good because I don't think I am. But I'm doing better. I'm doing better than I was. I don't know why I said that with such enunciation, but I did. Okay, so that is out. Oh, I still got another 50 gigs. I'm good. Pull this out, plug it back in here, because shortly soon it will be slurping up these last Ancestors videos. Yeah. Not really a whole lot else to talk about. Oh. There is, actually. There is. New game, Dead by Daylight. I think I mentioned it. I have been watching YouTubers play this off and on for the past month and a half, maybe. Like, mostly I saw Silvervale playing it at first. And Silver's adorable when she's killing people. It's just what she does. She's scarily cute because you just see these adorable little emojis with these little smiles, little chibi Silvervales, but they've got a knife and just a manic grin, and it's so cute. And she's so cheerful, like she'll just, hi, stab, giggle, etc. It's cute. And then I started watching Gura play it, and I've seen like 2 or 3 other people play it. I might have seen Markiplier play it. And this is one of those games that I got like 2 years ago on PlayStation Plus. I think it was before I even started working at Walmart and owned my own PS4. I think it was just one of those games I had for free. And I finally got around to playing it, because at the time it didn't seem like something I'd be good at, but I mean, I still don't think it's something I'm good at, but it's something I would enjoy. Especially now that I played some asymmetric games. I also own Friday the 13th, I think. And even if I don't, it's available on PlayStation Now. Sorry, I needed to get my nail clippers. So, yeah, I have the ability to play Friday the 13th at some point if I so choose. I have Predator Hunting Grounds. I have Resident Evil Resistance. You know, I've got a couple of these games, actually. I'm kind of getting into the genre. And one of the things that sold it for me, and I think it wasn't Silver, and it wasn't Gura, I don't think. Maybe it was Gura. But one of them showed off the licensed killers, because there are some killers that are actually from things, like Leatherface, and Pyramid Head, and Michael Myers, and Freddy Krueger, and Ghostface, and I think there was 1 or 2 others, like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things that I've never seen. But I decided I'm going to get Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers, and I did, and Michael Myers is so much fun. But yeah, watching someone play as Michael Myers was the thing that made me think, oh, this looks fun, you know? And to be fair, that's what got me into horror clicks, because horror clicks had been kind of cool when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, this is neat. I'll give anything a shot, you know. You give me a minis game, I'll fucking play it. I'm not into Harry Potter. You introduce me to a Harry Potter minis game or card game, I'll at least give it a shot. I'll play anything once, you know. Within reason. I'm not going to play Russian roulette once. Knowing my luck, I'd play it exactly once. But yeah, I played Horror Clicks, and I'm like, oh, this game's okay. I do like the giant amoeba, etc. But the thing that sold me on Horror Clicks was the fact that it had the Alien vs. Predator Horror Clicks, which is something I'd been wanting in Hero Clicks since the first the only Indie Clicks set came out. Because when Indie Clicks was first announced, I'm thinking, oh god, they're going to have Dark Horse. Dark Horse has AVP. Bring it on. But we never got AVP. But yeah, when I had that, when it had Freddy vs. Jason, it had the Hellboy, etc., that's what got me into Horror Clicks for real. That's the thing that made me like, yeah, I have to do this. And it was benefited by the fact that the George Bush stimulus, that tells you how far this was. This is like early 2000s. The George Bush stimulus had come in. And I had bought a couple things, and one of the things I bought was a special on AVP. For whatever reason, the company was selling everything related to AVP at a bonus. You would get the Aliens box set, the Predator box set, the Alien Queen box set, which had the Queen, an Alien, a Predator, and, you know, all the Queen's stuff, and the Cloaking Predator by the Brick mail-in fig, for like basically the price of the Queen herself, which was like $40. And you cannot give that up. You buy the Queen, you get the entire set free. How can I not? And I did. You know, that's exactly what I did. I fucking bought the set, and the Queen is fucking ridiculous. But that's basically what I needed for Dead by Daylight, is I needed things that I had a link to, because I don't care about the hillbilly and the nurse, etc. I don't know who the fuck these characters are, and I don't care. But I know who Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger are. I'd like to see Jason. You know who I'd love to see? And he's made for this game. I want to see the Creeper. From Jeepers Creepers, I want to see the fucking Creeper. I would love to see him as a licensed killer. Because he will just be a monster, a literal monster. But yeah, the game's been pretty cool so far. I haven't played much of it. I actually accidentally played it on the Kyrix file, because I was over there for whatever reason, and I installed it. And it was being a dickhead and not letting me update the damn game. And I don't know why, but it wasn't. And, I mean, it was letting me, but I had to do it manually, and that just kind of sucks a dong. You know, no one wants to manually update something that should just update itself. That's the whole point of things that update themselves, you know what I mean? And I was gonna get the, what's-its-fucks? The, there's a word for it. What is that word, Kyrix? I was gonna update... No, I was gonna buy the killers, and I wanted to see how much they were in the store. And it's like, oh, well, you could do this with PlayStation Plus. And I'm thinking, I should have PlayStation Plus. I'm like, oh, wait. And I clicked, and sure enough, I was on the wrong file. And I changed it. So yeah, I had to... Basically, I had leveled up one survivor up to like level 20 or 30 with all the free blood points that I get. Basically, think of it as free XP just for starting the game. And so I had nothing left to do anything else with. Well, when I get over to mine, I do the same thing, except I split all the blood points between, I almost said Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger, you know. So I basically have one thing where I have a really teched up survivor and one thing where I have a really teched up killer. And Dead by Daylight is a thing where I'd like to get some friends together and play it, you know? Especially since it's cross-play, so I don't even need PlayStation friends to get it. And they keep saying, oh, there's disadvantages on the console, but I really don't see that, you know? And they're like, oh, there's disadvantages of playing the controller, and I'm thinking, I don't think that's the case. I think if I were to play keyboard and mouse, you'd whoop my ass no matter what system I'm on, because I'm hard-pressed to remember a time in my life when I didn't have a controller, you know? Because even my earliest memories, I still owned an Atari. I know there was a point in my life when I didn't have an Atari, but I know it in a very academic sense, where it's like, yeah, I'm aware that at some point I didn't have one, but I don't remember ever not having one. So yeah, basically I've always had something with a controller, so that's all I've ever played. And I played computers back before they were really computers, back before the monitor was a thing, when you just plugged a fucking keyboard with its own brain into your TV and that was your monitor, you know. Those are the computers I grew up with. I remember one of the computers, because we had to, broke, and for years, not years, for like weeks or months, we couldn't do anything, and I'm just around there fucking with it, and I got it back on, and everyone's like, oh, that's great, you fixed it, you know. And I gotta wonder if it was really one of us fucked with it, or if they just broke it on purpose. But given that my mom, and I think my stepdad at the time, really loved it, I don't think they would have done that. I think it just was a thing that happened. Oh, just getting back to the gameplay, for what basically has happened here is I lost track of one of my monkeys, I think, and then I just decided not to give a shit anymore. I'm like, well, fuck it, that monkey's just dead. Because I couldn't remember where I left the monkey. And I think I actually do an evolution soon anyway, so it's not gonna really matter. Either way, I don't think that monkey's gonna matter for very long. And it wasn't a monkey with one of the babies anyway, so. But yeah, this has just generally been a pretty good experience for me doing this game, especially doing it the way I'm doing it now with This Week in Kyrix, where I pre-record and then I fucking post-commentate later. Like, tomorrow, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna grind the shit out of this. I'm gonna get 3 or 4 episodes worth. Because what I want to do is, potentially what I want to do anyway, is I want to have This Week in Kyrix be, you know, my usual hour-long thing. And then I want to have, like, 2 episodes to make This Year in Kyrix a 2-hour affair, where I basically just talk about all the shit I've been up to, you know. And maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. But I want to start getting my stuff uploaded. I want to start getting stuff converted so that the files are smaller. Like, I want to do that with all of This Week in Kyrix shit. Definitely from 2021 on, all of it is going to be converted, and then I'm just going to pull it off the hard drive and go to town on it as needed. And eventually, by 2022, I expect everything to be trimmed down to manageable bite size. No pun intended. Oh, God. Allegedly, we'll be getting a stimulus at some point when Biden takes office. I've actually heard that Trump, of all people, is pushing for a $2,000 stimulus. And people were on Twitter being real skeptical, like, why the fuck would he do that? And I'm like, good press. He's got so much bad publicity right now, he's scrambling for anything. The way I described it, I'm like, it's pocket glitter for when someone comes after me. Just reach into the pocket, toss glitter, you know. It's a smoke screen. And maybe it is. Maybe he's genuinely trying to do something good. You know? Because I'm not one of those people. I'm one of those people who hates Trump, but I'm not one of those people who thinks that Trump is pure evil and can't do anything right. He can absolutely do things right. He just doesn't because he's incompetent. I mean, sometimes shit just happens, you know? Yeah, I think what I'm about to do is another evolution. I'm like, hey, this way my monkey won't die and I won't have to look for it. Or maybe I'm imagining that. I don't know. Like I said, this is a week or two ago, and I barely remember anything. Ooh, I have cookies still. I'm gonna eat some cookies and milk. Sorry, I'm very, very food motivated. It's actually kind of sad that I'm so food motivated because I know why I'm food motivated. It's because half the time I either don't have food or I won't feed myself like I'm supposed to. I spend a lot of time hungry, and I shouldn't. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. Maybe someday my fortunes will change. Maybe I'll hit the fucking lottery. Who knows? I don't know, and you don't know. What on earth am I up to over here? Oh, I had everyone gather basalt. Anyway, see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.